Shalom, like give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash, like give double honors to our apostles and elders, great millstone. Salutations to all you sincere brothers pushing his word across the four corners of the earth. The title of this lesson, How Should His Kingdom Stand? And this is referencing to Esau, Edom, who are the so-called Caucasian race today. And this is an article from nationalnews.com, and the title says, Message to Trump, we are willing to put our lives on the line to protect you in this constitutional republic. Just say the word. And this was published on November the 9th, 2020. A short message to President Trump. I've been asking everybody I'm encountering how far they will go to defend President Trump and our constitutional republic against the obvious, coordinated, treasonous vote fraud of the lawless Democrats. The answers were nothing short of astonishing. There wasn't a single person who told me they thought Trump should concede. Quite the opposite. In fact, out of the 30 or so people I've asked over the past few days, including several people I did not previously know, every single one of them told me they were willing to fight to defend America against the brazen vote fraud of the Democrats. I will take up arms to defend Trump, more than one person told me. The theme of taking up arms was quite common. Many people are ready and willing to defend President Trump using the Second Amendment if called upon. And that shows us through the spirit how the city of confusion is being broken down. That city of confusion is representing America, known as Babylon the Great. And as you can see, it's a divide or separation in Esau's kingdom, America. And this place is just being broken down on a moral aspect, on a spiritual aspect, on an economical aspect, and pretty soon it's going to be physically manifested. And this is the book of Luke, the 11th chapter and the 16th verse. And others tempting him sought of him a sign from heaven. But he, knowing their thoughts, said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. So that's how we know through the spirit that we're at the end of this so-called white man's rulership, his authority, his chapter. Because right now it's a big divide in this country. You have a lot of these Edomites going hard for Trump, and you also have a lot of these Edomites going hard for Joe Biden. But at the end of the day, as you can see through the spirit, it's a separation. It's a division. So every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against a house falleth. So this place, America, is crumbling. It's about to get ready to fall. As it says in the book of Revelation, the 18th chapter, Babylon has fallen. We can see that through the spiritual aspect right now. And this article proves it. Verse 18, if Satan also be divided against himself, and Satan means an adversary. Who are the adversaries of Yahweh, Yahushai? The Edomites, who are the so-called Caucasian race today. That's the Most High's main enemy. It says, how should his kingdom stand? Because he say that I cast out devils through Beelzebub. So we can see through the spirit that this place is being divided. You have the Democrats going against the Republicans. You have the liberals going against the conservatives. You have the so-called left wing going against the so-called right wing, but not knowing that this left wing, right wing is a part of the same bird, which is that eagle. And these elites that really pull strings in this society, they are doing nothing but setting up a stage for the masses where they have their pawns or puppets, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and they're just doing what they're told. You best believe that Joe Biden and Donald Trump are all on the same page behind closed doors, but they play that role on that stage to the public to make it seem like they're against each other. But at the end of the day, they're still Edomites and they're still doing the bidding of the elites. But you have these American sheeple that actually believe what they hear and see on TV, and they really believe about this so-called election fraud. And these people are going to be the ones that are going to be getting killed in the streets when martial law be implemented. Because these different protests and riots are all set up by the higher ups, the shadow government. But you really going to have these American people, especially the ones of our people as well, they're going to be partaking to that madness too. And they're going to be really protesting, really rioting, really going hard in the streets of America, really causing chaos and anarchy. And these people are going to get shut down, meaning they're going to get killed. Okay, back to the article. It says, many others told me something like, I am willing to lay my life on the line to fight Democrat corruption and defend Trump. When I asked why, they told me some variation of, if socialism wins, we have already lost everything anyway. They fully understand that under a Biden-Harris administration, America quickly becomes Venezuela. They understand we might as well fight now while we are still strong. instead of waiting to be weakened under the Chinese communist control of the corrupt Democrats. And that just shows you more proof through the Spirit, how it says in the book of Isaiah, that darkness should cover the earth and gross darkness the people. Like, these people are under a spell. They are totally lost out here. They actually believe this crap about this so-called election. And they're going to go full throttle in the streets of America. And like I stated earlier, you have a lot of our people that are partaking into this madness. They are protesting, they are voting, they are rioting in the streets. And that's why the scriptures say in the book of Proverbs 11 chapter, no hand joining hand. So by our people being partakers of Esau's madness, this folly that's going on in America about this so-called election fraud, a lot of our people are going to be getting stomped down like the mire of the streets. So it's going to be a lot of bloodshed, as you can see, in America very soon. Yahweh Shah is setting a very big separation between America. And it says about half the people I ask are either veterans or law enforcement. That kind of tells you the sort of people I know, but it's also a strong statement on the patriotism that exists in the hearts and minds of those who took an oath to defend the Constitution of the U.S. There are still millions of Americans who take the oath quite seriously, and there are millions more who never served in combat but who are willing to take up arms right now. Goes right into the book of 2 Esdras, the 15th chapter. There should be sedition amongst men. So it's going to be a lot of insurrections and rebellions going on in the streets of America. And that's how we know through the Spirit that this place is dividing. It's not going to be able to stand no longer. If called upon to defend this republic, those people include truckers, bikers, business owners, and even white-collar professionals all across the nation. Because with this separation, you have a lot of these Americans who have businesses, so they don't want to see this second shutdown happening. So just by that alone, if a second shutdown does happen, and we know through the Spirit that it is, it's going to be a lot of protests then that's going to turn into riots. As you can see from this article, Yahweh Shah is putting that spirit of chaos and anarchy that's going to be applied in the streets of America. So as you can see, that it's going to be more inflamed, more intense. And that leads me to the book of Jeremiah, the 51st chapter and the first verse. Thus said the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind. So we already know through the Spirit that Babylon is referencing America. That the destroying wind is when these different countries are going to shoot those nuclear missiles over America. And once that takes place, when those nuclear missiles hit, it's going to be a destroying wind. And you can see that in the movie Terminator, how it's like a destroying wind, destroying everything in its path, all the elements, from the infrastructures, from the vehicles, and people as well. In 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, it stated that the elements should melt with fervent heat. Verse 2, and we send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land. And those fanners right now, as you see, it's being ignited, it's being more inflamed. That's going through all this different chaos, all these different riots, rebellions, all these different insurrections. At the end of the day, this is what Yahweh Shah wants for this movie. And these fanners are making everything be more dramatic. It's being more intense. It's like you're at the edge of your seat. And that's when Yahweh Shah gonna come back and he's gonna give America those ending credits of that movie. But before we get to that point, Yahweh Shah just making everything just be more inflamed, more intense. Those are those fanners. You see all this separation, division going on in America, all these staged cop shootings, this pandemic madness, all this is nothing but fanners. And this second shutdown of America is near. So just making more people to be on the edge. And that's going right back to the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, how iniquity shall abound. The love of many shall wax cold. Verse 2, and it says, and we'll send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land, for in the day of trouble there shall be against her round about. And this is Isaiah 19:1, the burden of Egypt. And America is modern day Egypt. Linking right up with the book of Revelation, the 11th chapter, how it says this place is spiritually called Sodom in Egypt. America follows everything that ancient Egypt was doing with the different customs, the different symbolisms, and the false deities. America is just more modernized and it's doing the same things as well. So when something is a burden, it's a heavy load, it's trouble. And as you can see, with all the tension and chaos going on in America, that's exactly what we're heading to. It's going to be a burden, and that burden is going to be more heavier. It's going to be more loaded with more trouble. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Verse 2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. So as you can see right now, the Democrats against the Republicans, the liberals against the conservatives, the left wing against the right wing, Americans against the Americans. It's a total separation here in the United States of America. It's not united no more. It should be separation of America. And it says, and they shall fight every one against his brother and every one against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom. And as you can see from this article, these Edomites who are going full pledge for Donald Trump, they're all bearing arms. They're all getting ready. They're telling Trump, just give us the word. That's where we stand at now in this so-called country. Right here it says, once we defeat the left-wing traitors and terrorists in D.C., let us aid your efforts to arrest the traitors all across America, including big tech CEOs, fake news media propagandists, and corrupt governors and mayors who are complicit in the 2020 election treachery and COVID pandemic that sacrificed hundreds of thousands of lives of Americans just so they could roll out their mail-in ballot election fraud scheme. These criminals need to be put in chains, prosecuted, and held to account for their crimes against America. So these people are really believing this BS, and they really about to go hard. Like, these people are really riding for Donald Trump. And every person who willfully engaged in ballot fraud shall face immediate prosecution and harsh penalties under the law. We are ready to fight for America and for the presidency you won by a landslide. Call upon us when needed. You will be astonished at our level of readiness and commitment. So that's where we at right now with America, that great division and separation that Yahushua is setting up for that great moment for Yahushua to come back, because that's exactly what Yahushua wants, that separation. And that leads me right to the book of Luke, the 12th chapter, start at the 49th verse. I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? So as you can see through the Spirit, before Yahushua come back on this main stage to send his fire on the earth, he's making things to be more kindled. He's making that tension to be more increased, to be more inflamed. He's stirring up commotion around the whole earth, especially America. I'll jump down to verse 51. Suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth? I tell you, nay, but rather division. And that's a cold cut for any one of our people and these other nations. Always talking about let's come all together. Let's be all unified. This world is universal. That's a cut because it's against the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua via the scriptures. It's all about division. It's all about separation. Only the elect is going to be in that same mindset all together, that one band, one sound. It's not meant for these other nations and 2/3 of our people. They're going to be divided. We're not supposed to be connected or unified with them. And the scriptures tell us, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If anyone that loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. So through the Spirit, we supposed to want this place to fall and be divided more and more. Let these so-called conservatives and so-called liberals go at it. Let these so-called Democrats and so-called Republicans go at it. Let them go ahead, protest, riot, and tear up the streets of America. Cause much chaos and anarchy. Because when we was once on top as a nation, these other nations were ready and they was looking for our downfall. So as the hopeful elect, we're supposed to be looking for the downfall of this so-called white man and these other nations. And as you can see from this article, that's where we stand. That's how you know that this place is divided. This is that house is about to get ready to fall. So the more these type of events happen, the more it be divided and separated, the more Yahushua's second return is going to be nigh. So as it says from National News, message to Trump, we are willing to put our lives on the line to protect you and this constitutional republic. Just say the word. So as you can see, these civil wars are going to be more increased, more intense, and more inflamed. So how should this kingdom stand? And with that, hope y'all was edified. I'd like to give all honor and glory again to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash. I'd like to give double honors again to our apostles and elders, great millstone. Salutations to all you sincere brothers. Y'all stay strong. Shalom.